Vandal in English means a person who damages or destroys something for no apparent reason. Now, the word vandal in English has a very interesting history. But let's look at an example. Michael Fay was a vandal. He vandalized some cars in Singapore. Many Americans might remember that about 20 years ago, an American teenager by the name of Michael Fay was caught vandalizing cars in the island state of Singapore. And he was punished for that by getting whipped in the butt with a bamboo cane. Well, let's look at where the words vandal and vandalize come from. Well, the word vandal came into the English language in the mid-16th century, and it is a noun, and it refers to a person who damages or destroys something without any apparent reason. The adjective form of vandalize came into the language in the 1790s by simply adding ize to vandal to make it an adjective. But the origins of the word go back more than 1,500 years, and it actually is from the name of a group of people, a tribe. The Vandals were in fact a German tribe. Before the foundation of modern German states, and during the days of the Roman Empire, there were large groups, tribes of Germans north of Roman frontiers. One of these groups were the Vandals. And in the early 5th century, around the first decade of the 400s, there was a group coming in from the east called the Huns, who are related to a group in Chinese known as the Xiongnu, though we don't know how closely related they are. But they were a very powerful tribe that came out of Asia. Many German groups were pushed into Roman territory as a result, keeping in mind that in the early 5th century, the western part of the Roman Empire was very weak. So they moved through France and Spain. At that time, France was known as Gaul, and Spain was known as Hispania. Well, they gained, the Vandals, a reputation for destruction. They destroyed things, or at least that's the reputation they gained. Though some historians say that the reputation was not entirely deserved. Be that as it may, that was the reputation that followed them as they went through Gaul and Hispania, modern-day France and Spain. Well, by 439, they had gone into Africa and had captured the city of Carthage. Now, anyone who knows Roman history knows that Rome fought 3 wars with Carthage, and Carthage became a city of the Roman Empire. Well, Carthage, now basically outside of the control of Rome, as the Western Empire was fading, now came under the control of the Vandals. And the Vandals made it the capital of their kingdom, which was based in northern Africa. In 455, the Vandals sacked Rome. They went into Italy, they went into Rome, they stole, they looted, probably did some destroying as well, adding to their reputation for destruction. But they had formed a relatively stable kingdom, and by the 470s had ruled much of the North African coast, along with most of the islands in the Western Mediterranean, including the islands of Sicily and Sardinia, which are currently part of Italy, and Corsica and the Balearic Islands, which are currently parts of France and Spain. So they had actually created quite a large and not an unpowerful kingdom. Well, by the 530s, the Roman Empire, which was now in the east, led by the Emperor Justinian I, one of the greatest emperors of the Eastern Roman Empire, which many historians now call the Byzantine Empire, destroyed what was left of the Vandal kingdom by the mid-530s. But over 100 years of a kingdom, of conquests, of destruction, and the word vandal had become basically ingrained in the Western mind, in Latin, as people who were bent on destruction. And of course, Latin became the language of Europe for the next 1,000 years. Well, by the 1550s, the word vandal had entered the English language. From this legacy of destruction, the Vandals now became the source of the word for a person who destroys things. So now, today, it means someone who destroys things at random, and they don't really seem to have a reason for it. Now, let's look at 3 more example sentences of how to use different forms of the word vandal. The kids vandalized a BMW, but were caught by the police. So the kids, when they did some damage, maybe they scratched the car, maybe they spray painted it, but they vandalized it, you got caught. Number 2, in Singapore, vandals can be whipped with a bamboo cane. That's what happened to Michael Fay about 20 years ago. He's the young man, who got caught vandalizing cars, and they took a cane, and that cane, called a rattan cane, made of bamboo, is designed to cut into the skin. And they whipped his butt with it 6 times. From what I understand, it was not a very pleasant experience. 3, vandalism is a serious crime in some countries. There are many countries where property rights are considered very important. And if you damage someone's property, that's a serious crime in those countries. So, again, vandalism comes from the name of a German tribe and now means a person, or a vandal is a person who destroys things for no reason. Vandalism is the act of doing it, and vandalize is the action. This has been an installment of Words and Idioms Origins. 如果你还有英文的问题，你可以上 Facebook 台中新英格兰美语，也可以看 YouTube TCNE English。如果你在台中，你找英文老师，你可以在 Facebook 跟我联络。谢谢你收看。